Hi, everyone. I'm just checking to make sure that we're coming up um, on the website or on this. Yep, there we are. Okay. So glad to see everyone today. Um, as we're waiting for others to get on, I just wanted to have a little bit of a check-in, give you some reminders. And so first, how are you all doing? How's it going? If you don't mind popping how you're doing into the comments. Tell me how your week has been, how your day is going, how are you feeling. Just pop that into the comments so that we can talk, or let me know you're here by saying hello. And I'm following along on my phone, so I should be able to see you. Second, just a reminder that tonight we are having our prayer service at 7 p.m. We had scheduled that way back in August when we were doing the worship core planning sessions. We had thought, well, why don't we do something for National Day of Prayer? And here we are, it's National Day of Prayer, and we thought, well, it's still pretty relevant. And so that's why we're having it. And it's certainly an important time to do that. It'll be, again, it's 7 p.m. tonight. You can watch it here on Facebook. You can go to our YouTube page, or you can go to the website, mountzionucc.org/streaming. And certainly a time that the world does need prayer. And just a reminder for tonight, we invite you to have with you during the service a placemat or a hand towel, a candle, a rock or some rocks, just depending on the size, I guess, some greenery or a flower, and a cross. We're going to kind of be creating an altar as we go through the service. And so if you would like to participate in doing that, you want to have a placemat or a hand towel, a candle, a rock or some rocks, some greenery or a flower, and a cross. If you don't have those things with you, you could still participate in the service. It won't stop you in any way, but if you want to participate, that's one way that you can do it. Also on Sunday, we are going to have Holy Communion during worship, and so we invite you to have with you at home some juice or water or wine and some bread or crackers. So juice, water, or wine, or bread and crackers, so that together we can celebrate Holy Communion together. So I'm just looking, I see Faye is here. Hi, Faye. And Barb Stebbins and Barb Everhart and Jim Schiffer. Hi, all of you. So while we're getting started here and waiting for others to get on, just pop in the comments, how are you doing? Tell me how your week has been, what your day is like, how are you feeling? Just give us a little check-in so we know where you're at. I give you some reminders about the service tonight at 7, Holy Communion on Sunday, and then also next week, this is so exciting. Next week, we're going to be doing something that we're calling Pastors on the Porch. So once a week, Pastor Jeff and I are going to alternate weeks. Once a week, one of us will be on the porch at Mount Zion for about an hour and a half. You can stop by, you can pull into the circular driveway, stay in your car. We'll stay on the porch, but we can talk. We could talk for a little bit. So again, that's next Wednesday, the 13th, and that's from 2 to 3:30. I will be on the porch at Mount Zion. I'm going to bring my lawn chair. So I would love to see you there. Um, Faye says, when I asked you to type in how you're feeling, Faye says, every day is the same as the day before, except for times of Mount Zion. Well, thanks, Faye. Glad to bring some variety to the day. Just depends on what the day is. I see Lina's here. Hi, Lina. Good to see you. It is a beautiful day, and yesterday was such a rainy one. If you're just tuning in, just let me know how you're doing, how your week's been, how your day is going, and we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Um, so uh, the rain is kind of a rough addition to the week for the Neffs when that happens. And when it's cold rain, that's even worse. But Grace is undeterred by rain. She doesn't care at all. She wants to walk outside. The other day, I think she walked a good 3/4 of a mile by herself. I mean, like I was with her, but I didn't have to carry her or anything in the rain. And then again last night, she wanted to be outside in the rain, and who am I to stop her? So I got a coat on and went out in the rain. So that's how we've been spent. But I don't love it. I don't love being out in the rain. So today in my devotional, I talked about how there is so much about this time that's sort of paradoxical, and that we might find that we are feeling contradictory things. So, for example, maybe you are surrounded by family or your children or your spouse and you still feel lonely. Or you might be walking in the open air but still feel kind of suffocated by the constraints of a mask. You might be safe at home in relative security and yet still feel afraid. Or maybe just to add a positive one, you might be sad and yet still feel really grateful and connected to those around you. So you see, it's a both and. You can be both surrounded by people and still lonely. You can be both really struggling and still be grateful. So, what experiences of both and are you having right now? That's one of the questions I want to hear from you. If you are willing to pop an answer into the comments, that would be great. Those both and feelings. You're both this and this. Barb says about how she's doing. The last few days have been much better since we found out about Steve's stroke. Yeah, thanks for saying that, Barb. She says, thanks for all the prayers and cards and phone calls. Keep the prayers coming. Yeah, that was such a shock to hear that about Steve. But also I know good to have some answers and just somewhere to, okay, focus the attention and know how to start treating things. So I'm grateful for that, and we'll continue to pray. Hi, Jen. Hi, Barb. Good to see you both. Just at this point, we're wanting you to check in and let us know how you're doing. Also, the question that I've been asking is, how are you in the both and? I kind of talked about that in my devotional this morning. The both and season right now. You might be sort of what would seem paradoxical or conflicting things, but they make sense in your life right now. Because those are normal feelings to have. In my devotional, I talked about how we're both experiencing the both and way of living. Like you might be getting lots of sleep and still feeling tired. You might be both blessed and yet find yourself sort of yearning or wanting more. And that's an experience that would be common right now. And I wanted to talk about that. But then also to share, as I talked about in my devotional, that God is also both and. God is both a sure and unchanging fortress, and God is also a God that is both a rock that we cling to and steadies us, and a tide that is drawing us outward and pulling us on to the next thing. So God is both something that holds us down and propels us forward. And so I'm wondering, how is God doing that for you? How is God both steadying you right now and pushing you forward? Like, how do you see that showing up? I would love to hear how that's happening for you. Or if you had something else about the devotional this morning that resonated with you, feel free to say that too. I'd love to hear that. Just checking out who's here. We got Barb, Jen, another Barb, Lina, Faye, and Jim, and another Barb. Lots of Barbs and Faye. Yep. So again, let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you are experiencing both and about yourself and about God, and or if there was anything else from the devotional this morning that's resonating with you. I'd love to hear it. Let me just share with you about some of the ways I feel like God has been this sure and unchanging fortress, but also something that's kind of propelling us forward. I think that I've been getting a lot of security and stability from church. and from my faith family, and feeling like that God is really um, bringing us together and reminding us of how important it is to have a faith community and people to lean on and encourage and receive encouragement from. And so that's one way in which I feel like God has really planted God's self um, once again in my life. And I knew that, right? But there's always it's always good to be reminded of things like that. And then this propelling, or another way that I've experienced the propelling forward, okay, so God is both steadying us, but also propelling us forward, is this vast amount of new information and new way of doing things. Um, that's an interesting way in which I feel like God has pushed our faith community, our church, to think about how we're connecting with people and what's possible and how to be a church. And I'm going to actually talk a little bit about that on my sermon on Sunday, because I think the church is right now, and I think it has been, in sort of a reformation, another reformation. And yet, I think this period is kind of accelerating that, because so much is changing, and we're really having to release some of the things that might have been holding us. Um, and not all the things. We're not going to release all the things that have been holding us, right? There are so many things we have to keep. We have to keep our connection with one another. We have to keep our willingness to serve. But sometimes we can get bogged down in this is the way that we do things. And it takes a crisis like this to kind of remind us, oh, we don't have to do it that way. So that is an interesting thing to think about. I'm seeing Lori is here. Hi, Lori. Hi, Jesse. Hi, Judy. Good to see all of you. So the question I've been asking, if you're just tuning in, is I want you to tell me how you're doing. Check in, how the week's been, um, good or bad, let me know. But also thinking about what are the ways that God is both and. I talked about that in the devotional this morning. How this time is both and for a lot of us, how you can both be busy and bored, or you can um, you can be a sort of really silly one is you can be like in sweatpants and have a clergy shirt on top. You can actually today I'm wearing jeans, but you can those are simple ways, but there are more deeper ones, right? That I named, that you can be getting lots of sleep, but also really tired. So I would love to hear about that from you. How are the ways that you're seeing both and come into your life, but then also maybe how God is doing that for you? And I just named that in the church, um, we're experiencing the steadying source that is a church family, and how that is so calming and reassuring and a way to connect, which is God manifesting that sort of fortress, unchanging goodness. And that the church right now is kind of, our church is kind of pushing up against what we know, and trying to figure out a new way of doing things. And that's the way in which I think God is propelling us forward. And so I would love to hear about how you're doing and what you're feeling and thinking about. I'm checking out the comments, and I would love your participation. And it's such a strange thing to watch yourself on a screen. It really is. Um, yeah, so I'm tell you a little bit more about the week that we've had here today. Um, Alan and I had some things that we had to accomplish, which is sort of every day, but today there were specific appointments that we needed to go to. And so my parents have all three kids, and this is the first time we have not had all three kids with us since early March. Um, so that's weird. It's weird that the house is so quiet, and we had some uninterrupted work time today, which was can't remember the last time that happened. And my parents have been sending us pictures, and of course they're having a lot of fun. Um, So we've been working on a lot of things today to get them done while we have that opportunity. Um, so that's some of what today has been like. The rest of the week has been a slow trotting onward. Liam is my baby that most struggles with distance learning. Not so much the content as much as he just would much prefer that he was with other people, and I can understand that because I much prefer that when we're all in the same place too. But we just try to normalize his feelings and let him know it's okay. Um, and that's kind of what I wanted to do today was to hear how you're doing and see how you're spending your time and what's bringing you um, meaning and joy, or what's causing a struggle for you. Barb is naming her both and Barb Waltemeyer. She's saying she's feeling encouraged and discouraged at the same time. Yeah, it's very difficult, and I think I'm thinking of when we're trying to distance. So it's like we're encouraged maybe by the change in the seasons, by being able to take this amazing technology that allows us to connect. So these are reasons for hope and reasons for encouragement, and yet discouraging because we just want to hold and hug the people that we love, and we just want to be close to people and we want to see them in person. So that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for lifting that up. Um, right now, we're talking a little bit about the ways in which we're feeling two things at the same time, things that might seem opposite and yet, make sense in this COVID time, how we might be feeling hope and discouraged at the same time, as Barb was naming. And I'm just wanting to hear how your week is going. And so if you're on here, and I see that there are 8 of you. So if you're on here, I really would love for you to tell me how your week is going and what you've been up to, and maybe ways that you're noticing that God is both your fortress, your steady source, and also ways that God is sort of propelling you or pushing you onward. I think that is a good thing to think about, and it's the topic of the devotional today. So I'm really appreciating the weather, and I'm appreciating today, especially the time where I know my kids are safe and with my parents, and yet I can have a little bit of alone time. And I'll be going later to the church to get ready for tonight's service. Hi, Tori. Good to see you. Hi, Tam. Glad to have you here. So we're thinking about the service tonight, and I would love for you to join us then. That's at 7 o'clock, and we're going to be praying for our community, for people who are struggling, praying for all that's unknown, things that we're not quite sure about. We're going to be praying for our leaders, um, praying for those who are sick and need healing. So lots of different places or areas that we're going to be praying about. And when we're doing it, we're kind of going to be building an altar. And so if you'd like to participate in that, we want you to have with you at your watching area. And so we want you to have a hand towel or a placemat, a candle, rock or rocks, greenery or flowers, and a cross. Jesse is lifting up, I'm impatient with things, but more patient. I'm impatient with things, but more patient with people. Jesse, that's a great one. Yes, 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 yes. We're finding that hopefully that we can offer a little bit more grace to people because we kind of know everybody's in the same boat. I don't think I know of anybody who is totally delighted with the stay-at-home order or with the pandemic. So yes, hopefully knowing that we're all in the same boat, we can offer each other a little more patience. But then also we might find ourselves getting a little more sort of short-tempered with things like our computers, or like technology, like our internet at the Neff house has been terrible. So we just got a new modem and router, and we're hoping that works. But it's been kind of a struggle here for them. So yeah, Jesse, the things, that's a great way of putting it. And okay, I'm looking. Faye says, in my daily Bible readings, I see a lot of difference between the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament. It's an age-old quandary. Yeah, I think they're the same God, and they're telling us there are some similar aspects of God in the Old and the New Testament, like the 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 preferential um, love and treatment of the poor and the oppressed. I think is evident in both the Old and the New Testament. But there are some differences, right? And I think those are differences about the writers and about the way. So I don't know that I think is up for discussion, right? I don't know that I think that God is different as much as the way God's actions in the world are interpreted might be different. And not really saying either is wrong, just different understandings of how God might be working. Um, but yeah, not all of the Old Testament, nor not all of the New Testament are my favorites. That's true. Um, Tammy's saying, I'm loving our lives being slowed down enough to do things for others. That helps cheer them up as well as keeps my heart happy too. Yeah. Um, and I think, yeah, I think I've heard that a lot. This idea that we have this experience where we can slow down and not find ourselves so busy, and that's bringing us a lot of joy to be able to offer ourselves in a different way to people, in not such a transactional, busy way, but in a way that's more of service and of kindness. And I hope that, and I'm including myself in this hope, right? I hope that that can continue. Like, even if life were to go back to some kind of semblance of normal, I don't know that we should be so quick to get back to what it was. I think that we might consider what we would actually want going forward. Like, does it have to be that strenuously busy for everyone? I'm not sure that that was good for us, right? So, and especially now we have I think whenever we are that busy, we can't imagine not being, and we think that the only way for us to be happy is if we keep going, 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 going. And what I like about this experience is that it has helped us see and distill down what is it that I need to be happy. And I think community is something that we need, right? Like we do need to be around other people. I think that's clear. But I don't know that we need to be as busy as we were. So thanks for sharing that, Tammy. That's great. Um, Jim's saying he's been enjoying the daily devotionals. Awesome. Emerson's here. Hi, Emerson. And Barb says, what I wanted to say was that you talked about learning new things to be able to connect with us. Well, I never thought I'd be on Facebook. Oh, Barb, I know you didn't. But look at you. Look at you on Facebook. Look at you doing the thing. So many of you have stretched in order to be able to connect. And that is hard. It's so hard. And I want you to know that everyone, it's not just you, right? Like we're all learning new things. Like for example, to get this broadcast on Facebook and on YouTube and on our website, there's like 3 different things you have to do to get it set up. And I'm going to tell you right now, it took me an uncomfortably long time to learn that. For some people, it was really intuitive. Like Denny knows how to really do that, and he really was such a good teacher. And Travis wrote up an instruction sheet, and then once I had an instruction sheet, I was good. But it took me a while. So you're right. There's so much new to be learning. Let's see. Who else? Who we? Tammy's talking relationships, stuff and things. Not bad. Supposed to be. I'm not sure I know what you're saying there, Tam. If you want to help me clarify. Sharon's saying, hi here, sitting here, sweating, painting, and listening. Oh, we're so glad to have you with us, Sharon. And hi, Felicia. Hi, good to have you here. So right now we're talking about how you're doing. How are you coping? How are you handling right now? How's the week been? Also, we're talking about what are the ways that God is both being your grounding, the thing that's helping you? How are you noticing that God's showing up? And that might be in another person, it might be in a situation, it might be how have you noticed God showing up? And then how have you noticed God pushing you forward into sort of new territory? And the example I gave was just that, church, and I'm going to talk about this on Sunday a little bit, is that in church, um, you know, we have the security of having one another and caring for one another, and that is sort of God's way of showing up and grounding us in community. And yet, also, God is pushing our church family to try and reach out in new ways and grow as a community. And certainly that comes with growing pains, and we're learning a lot. But it's an important growth, and one I don't know how long it would have taken us to do if we had not had this situation. So, as much as I don't want to be in this situation, I think there are things to be grateful for, and I'm trying to find those, um, even when I don't feel like it, which is, at least at one point every day, I don't feel like being grateful for anything. um, So if you have anything to add, I'd love to hear it. And then for those just joining in, a reminder that tonight at 7 we have our prayer service, and that is in honor of the National Day of Prayer. We're going to be praying about COVID and the unknowns that we're experiencing and the feelings of loss. And also, so that's at 7. And then so to tell you, on Sunday we're going to have communion. And so we invite you to have your wine, juice, or water and your crackers or your bread so that we can have communion together. And then, I don't know if you were all on here whenever I said this the first time, but next week we're starting something we're calling Pastors on the Porch. And so next Wednesday from 2 to 3:30, I'm going to get my lawn chair and put it on the porch at Mount Zion. And I would love for you to come visit me. You're going to pull in, if you come, you'll pull into the circular driveway and then not get out of your car. I'm not going to get out of my seat, and you don't have to get out of your car because the driveway pulls up close enough that we'll be able to hear each other. And we can just chat. We can just say hello. And I would really love that. I would love to be able to see you all in that way. Again, that's next Wednesday from May 13th from 2 to 3:30 so that we can connect and see one another, but continue to do that in a way that's safe for each of us. And I'm grateful for that opportunity, and that I feel like we can, move in that direction and just see small incremental ways that we can start introducing seeing each other in person again, while also honoring, what it is the public health officials and the government are saying. So I think that's all I have for today. It's been fun to be here with you all, and thank you for those who commented. I'm so grateful, and love to share this time with you, and I would love to have a prayer with you. Let us pray. Gracious God, thank you so much for the gift of a beautiful day and the gift of your people and the ways that they show up for one another and offer each other love and care. God, help us to find hope where it is, where we feel like there might not be any. Help us to continue to explore the ways that you are showing us who you are and your love for us. God, thank you for being both the most important thing in our lives, the thing that grounds us and centers us and holds us steady, but also the thing that pushes us outward and helps us grow and change and do new things, so that we can be closer to you. Thank you for being both those things for us. God, be with each of the people who are watching this and beyond, and may you offer them your peace and your comfort. We pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. So glad to be with you all, and look forward to worshiping with you this evening at 7. All right. Good night, everybody, or good day.